Hello, caretakers. Today, we are going to be looking over Why Everywhere in the Beginning of Nowhere, Stage 1, Remastered by the Carebear, is the greatest fan project ever created. Let's start by playing the actual video. Now, you might be wondering, why do I have the Stage 1 singular upload here instead of the real video? Well, there are actually some differences between this video and the final upload. We are also going to go through these, as they are very important to our final judgment. Let's begin. Right from the beginning, you can tell. Right from the beginning, you can tell that a piano section was added in the final upload. This makes the song a lot better, in my opinion, as it gives the listener time to prepare for the chaos that is about to ensue while listening through this 9-hour project. The melody of this track is very similar to A1 from Ever at the End of Time, except for the fact that it's not sorrowful, it's not sad, it's more like B6 or B1 even, or even unused B3. It's very cozy. That's how I would describe this album the best. Cozy. Let's continue. The crackle also in the background is very subtle but noticeable, just like in the original A1 from EAT EOT. It's also an Alboli track, just like A1. And we have learned time and time again that Alboli is really good at making good music, considering a lot of people have used him in their albums. For good reason. Again, Midnight the Stars Knew is an amazing song, and Carebear using it for his album is honestly very inspired, very original and creative idea, in my opinion. The rhythm is very beat by beat in the sense that even if you don't know the song, you could possibly predict what the next notes are going to be, what's going to happen next, quote unquote. And I think that's something that every fan project creator should strive for when making stage 1 tracks, as tracks in this stage usually have this sense of sense of memory. You already know what's going to happen because these are technically your memories. Well, the person that's experiencing your album. Yeah. This would have been a good place to put a loop. But the track continues. This, again, is a very good way to make a stage 1 track. It doesn't loop as often as you would expect it to, because, again, it is a stage 1 track. It has to continue for around a minute or so, since memories at this point aren't that destroyed, I suppose. The song itself also going in a higher key at this point is in itself very catchy. It kind of brings you into a false sense of security, since you, at this point, you would expect something very happy and upbeat for the rest of stage 1, possibly even longer if you don't know what's going on. But we have 12 tracks, well, 11 left. You'll see. It would have been a good place to put a loop here as well, but Carebear decides to go the extra mile and continue this track just a little bit. And the loop. Oh, the loop. Must I add, it is an amazing loop. Most of these tracks are very well looped. And while in my opinion they are better looped in the full album version, I don't want to skip this because there might be some very important bits in here. Do you understand? As you can tell, in the full album version, Carebear decided to go back and change some settings on this track, make it a little more bass. You can hear the bass. The distortion effect, as we in the industry may call it. And I feel like this gives the track a much needed sense of looming danger. Now, while the singular upload of stage 1 felt more enticing, more, well, not necessarily enticing, more inviting, more open arms, like come on, listen to this. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun journey throughout. This, you already know what's going to happen. Basically, you clicked on a 9-hour video and you can see the bar at the bottom. You know what you're getting yourself into. You know exactly what's going to happen. I also enjoyed that he managed to make only the bass more bass filled, I suppose. He only added bass to the bass, the drums, or whatever's happening in the background there, not the actual song itself. Since that might have cluttered it a bit, it made it difficult to listen to, as if it were like a meme or something. But this is no meme. This is the most amazing stage 1 of any fan project ever. And I just want to point out that this album art, Follister, a very well-known object in the Caretaker community, this fits the vibe of the track perfectly. Caps Lock did an amazing job at illustrating what it feels like to listen to this stage. The greens and the greens contrast with the browns in such a way in which, again, it feels very cozy and at home. I feel like I could sit down on a winter night with a hot cup of cocoa and listen to stage 1. It really works. The static in this version was also changed ever so slightly. As you could probably tell, it was made much more flat, I suppose. It's not as crackly as the individual upload was. I I don't know if this is a byproduct of the fact that he added bass, but it's a welcome change in my opinion. For the same reason that I believe that adding bass is good, making the static less intrusive, I suppose, is a good way to draw attention towards the song itself and make the listener figure out what's going to happen and not spoon feed them the torture, I suppose, that's about to incur. Now, I am not covering the entire album because then we'd be here for forever. But I just want to say that the following tracks that also use Midnight Stars in You, like C3, C3. I'm saying this melody works very well as a replacement for Burning Memory because again, it's by the same artist. But still, it's 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 overall it's a really good pick for the reoccurring track in my opinion. You can also tell that when the loop begins, the static in the background gets ever so slightly louder. This is 100% from the upload. I mean this is 100% from the sample itself being like this. But I think it demonstrates how this person is going through whenever they remember a memory, they're like using up whatever part of their brain they have that's decaying right in front of their eyes. Whenever they remember something, their brain loses just a teeny tiny more amount of survivability. I know that's not how it actually works, but that's how it feels like. That's how you could interpret it. That's how you could interpret dementia. You shouldn't, but it's a way you could. Another way you could, and actually another thing I want to say about the loop itself is a lot of people nowadays loop tracks in such a way where the melody is continuous, where it starts looping like in the middle of the track, where there's a very slight dip, and where you can connect it with the beginning of the song. But Carebear decided to pick songs for the entirety of stage one that have huge dips in sound, presumably because I believe after this the vocals come along, as far as I know. But it really works in favor of stage one and not what a lot of other people do and loop tracks in the middle, because that's not what would actually happen in stage one. In stage one, memories aren't degraded enough and recalling ability isn't degraded enough to the point where you have to stop a memory in the middle of it to go back from the beginning or something like that. You go through a memory, you finish it, and you go again, or just reliving. You complete the entire experience, and then you go again because dementia and stuff. I moved the mouse. I'm sorry. also believe that he picked this part to loop so that if there is anybody that knows what the sample to this is, that they can sing along to it. Because if you actually do go and listen, which you 100% should a million times, you can sing Midnight Stars in You to this pretty well. Like, you're not interrupted in the middle, which is a thing I often find myself doing, is just singing Midnight Stars in You to this and not the actual song, because this is the far superior version. No shade to Alboli, he's fucking dead, but this is way better of a version to listen to, in my opinion. It also goes through all of the motions that a normal song would. The beginning with the piano, then when it goes slowly, like do do, and then it ramps up, like at the part you just heard, like the drop, quote unquote. I know it wasn't. It's not the technical term, nor was it used back then. But it goes through the motions that a normal song would: beginning, middle, beat drop, quote unquote, boom, yeah, and then it begins anew. By after the beat drop, it ends, and then it begins again, just like any song would technically. And the loop itself also works as a beginner, because the loop itself only has the middle and the ending parts. It doesn't have a beginning. At the start, it does for the piano, but subsequent loops don't have the piano at the start. And so it uses the loops. The loop uses itself as a starter to build off of itself. If that makes any sense. And this is the ending. This is a demonstration. The end of the song. A perfect way to finish it. The reverb going off into the distance. It's not as powerful as stage 2 or stage 3 reverb. It doesn't spring off into the distance flying with a million colors. It just slowly drifts off. And now we have A2 as the days, which can I just say, I forgot to talk about this, but the track title, I'll Be Remembering You, is an amazing beginning to this album, because one, it's a line from the song, just like Burning Memory is in EATOT, but it's also huge foreshadowing. As you can probably tell, I'll Be Remembering You. If you know anything about Caretaker fan projects, you already know what this implies. And he does a great job actually, in the remainder of the album with different names and spins on I'll Be Remembering You. Like, I Can Still Remember You for C3. Can I Still Remember You for E2? Why Can't I Remember for F4? And I Can't Remember for F8, which all tell a story. It's all just a bunch of different ways of phrasing the exact same thing. I'll be remembering you, but just advancing through this fact that they can remember, but they can't anymore. And oh no, you know what I mean? Well, later in the album, I would say that F8, I would say that stage 3 and just awareness stages, I guess, ending with a track called I Can't Remember is a tad on the nose, even for Carebear. um, I'd say it works. It works with this running theme of it's plot, basically. It's plot. It's 8-bun plot. The person forgetting and not being able to remember you anymore. Right. Now, A2. As the Days. You may have known about this track as the first track in the original 8-bun original, which we're not going to talk about. But now it has been moved to A2 for good reason. I still believe that A1 is an amazing opener and by far the greatest track in stage 1. If you mean by meaning what it represents. It also sounds amazing, but honestly, I actually don't know what, in my opinion, is the most musically best track in this stage. It's probably a tie between A1 and something else. Like I don't really know. I'll see as the album continues. But speaking of which, we should continue the album for A2 as the Days. A2 begins in much the same way that A1 begins, with a piano section. I believe that's piano. It sounds very much like it. I could be wrong. I'm not a music aficionado, contrary to popular belief. I mean, contrary to what I do for a living on YouTube, but you know what I mean. Also, a part of the song that of the sample itself that I really enjoy is the fact that at the beginning it loops into itself. As you might have heard, it starts with the piano and then the horn thing. I don't know. Don't criticize me. And then it takes that part and it goes again. Another great sample choice by Carebear for not specifically for this, but it's also a really good part. Subtlety and all that. There's a bunch of subtlety throughout this entire album, and I believe that it's really well done. I love subtlety in media. It's one of my favorite things to see and pick up on, because it means that the people that are working on it actually care about the thing that they're creating. All right, let's continue. And now I stop, because this is one of the greatest. Okay, well, I mean, not particularly, but it's an amazing way to begin a track. Honestly, it may be better than A1's beginning, but you can't really change that per se. Then that's part of the sample. But you would think that the track begins with this track is gonna be piano and what you just heard, but it doesn't. It's not that. It starts with that for a bit and then goes down and down and down, and from what you just heard, until the piano is gone and you're just left with a very calming and comforting horn. I don't know this. I'm just gonna call them horns from now on. Just terminology. The piano is completely gone from this track. I feel like piano is used in EATOT as well for melancholic and sad and sorrowful tracks, which those can be good. Those are good in EATOT, and they also appear in this stage in 8-bun as well. But using horns is just a very simple way to convey comfort and relaxation. Not in the melancholic sense that piano does, but in the just in the way that you can just sit. It feels like you just sit back, like in again my analogy of cold winter night. You're at home, hot cocoa. You know what I mean? That's how it feels like to me. You know what I mean. You understand what I mean, right? The crackle in the background, as you could probably hear, is akin to the one in the original uploads A1. And again, I feel like it served as a good way of slowly stepping up into the huge crackle and brokenness that we're going to hear further. Because A1 doesn't have much of any crackle, just a slight hum in the background. But A2 goes, well, not all out, it goes medium, mid for stage one. But yeah. You can also hear a repeating pattern in the crackle every couple of seconds. Again, just repeating things and memory and stuff. It's very dementia like. Yeah, you know what I mean. The part that you just heard with the long horn section, I really enjoy. I really enjoy it when there is a song with and the main melody and the, well, not hi hat, the backing, I suppose. I'm not a music aficionado. I know what these things are called, but the main melody and the backing melody kind of swap in some sense. Like the main melody becomes the part that's there to help, and the background melody, yeah, is the thing that you're supposed to be paying attention to, because that's the one that has the melody, the melodic strings. I just think that's a creative way to do it. And I am saying this because the track itself sounds really good. I really like how A2 sounds, and that's why I'm complimenting it. You know, well, piano is heard again, just a bit, just a tiny bit, but that's because of the loops. Speaking of the loop, I missed it because I was talking about something else. We'll catch it around the next time. Also, speaking of loops, I forgot to say that A1 is also the perfect amount of loops. It loops 4 times, which is like A1, the perfect amount of loops. I mean, not 4. I'm sorry, 3. I'm very sorry. It loops 3 times, so that you can get a good feel of the track and get yourself seated and ready for I've already said it like a million times, but the future, you know? Track's already looped once, and we're like halfway through. And more the reason why I say that this is calming is because the horn in the main melody is very slow. Oh, I'm not gonna sing again. It's very slow and relaxing and flows through itself very well. And I feel like that's what it gives it, a very calming sense. whenever the backing melody isn't playing. You can also hear the percussion in the back, so there's always 2 or 3 things playing at once. The percussion is playing all the time, but it's way more noticeable here, and it gives it a sense of alive memory, something there's a lot of things going on. Because again, it's only stage 1. What memory degradation are you gonna have? Not much. Yes, I paused it again at the loop because I don't actually know where the loop is. I don't know if it's before the piano or after the piano. This is one of the most well looped tracks in the entire album, the entirety of the album. I feel like it works here a lot better, because it's what I've talked about in A1, where you loop a track in the middle of it, not at the end. So as to keep it be continuous. And I feel like it works here better than it would have in A1, because A1 is like an introductory track, so it has to be slow and get the person watching into this mindset of you're sitting down to watch 7 hours of album and an hour and a half of torture. I will never stop hitting on fucking Postmortem. What the hell? It also helps that the cover art, again, cover art's good. What can I say? It also helps that the cover art it feels like it is playing these tracks, these horns specifically, because it can't play piano. But it looks like a mix of a radio and a phone booth thingy. Telephone booth. I don't know what they're called. Wired phones. I don't know. 1920s fucking thing. But radios, interestingly, haven't been seen a lot in fan projects. I don't think I've ever seen a big project use a radio as its cover, even though it's the most obvious choice from the 1920s. But sure. That horn part. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. It goes on for just long enough. It goes on for long enough so that by the middle of it, you realize that you're supposed to be paying attention to the back melody, and then by the time the song also realizes that and begins making the back melody more interesting, you know? And then you have a couple extra seconds to listen to it until the section ends. And so does the loop. I also have to say that the reverb. I haven't talked about the reverb. Wow. How stupid of me to not talk about the reverb. But the reverb here is very subtle, as it should be, of course, as it should be. In this and in A1. But it's subtle. You can only hear it basically when there's a silent bit or at the end of the track, when it completely vanishes, apart from the reverb, when the track completely vanishes. And you can hear in all of these if you really pay attention, but it really adds an extra layer of resonating memories, in the sense of you recall something, but it's bouncing off the wall. Normal Caretaker type stuff. You know what I mean. You clicked on this video. Of course you know what I mean. have all too much to say about this track anymore. If I do find something else, I will tell you. But we're just gonna listen to the last loop. This is the last loop. This is the fourth loop. Again, good looping. Good job, Carebear. And yeah, then I'll tell you about A3. And that was A2. Let's talk a bit about the ending because that was a bunch of stuff to process. But you'd have thought that it would go on for another loop, another loop. But it doesn't. It ends right after the piano, just how it began. It also resonates again. This time in the musical sense. It also resonates again. Delay actually is what we'd call it. There's another bit of delay. The effect. Before the track actually ends, which gives it a sense of the memory split in two, one part being synced and the other being slightly behind, which, that's what delay is supposed to accomplish. But still, I have to point it out. This, also the crackle at the end it changes, which is honestly a very, very interesting choice design by Carebear to change the crackle, because it makes it seem like when you aren't thinking about something, you realize that, oh shit, I have dementia. And when you're not thinking about anything, that's the only thing that in your mind that you can think about, I suppose. Well, yes, at this point, you wouldn't consciously know you have dementia, but you'd have something in the back of your mind telling you that, yeah, you have 7.5 hours and 1.5 hour of pain to go through. Actually, 7.5 hours of pain and 1.5 hours of torture. I hate postmortem. And now, let's go on to... Oh! I almost missed the slight vocal blip, like in A6, I believe, A68 AOT. And when he goes like, oh, the page. I think that was A6. I don't know. Correct me if I'm... You probably will correct me either way. Actually, maybe A5, whatever. Again, a very inspired choice by Carebear to include a vocal blip. Not a lot of albums nowadays do this. A lot of albums nowadays feels like they've all went down the same path of you listen to EATOT once and take away as a album creator, you take away only the most noticeable bits, only the most easily spotted. Like when you make a stage one track, you think of only the big picture, not all the small parts like the vocal blips or the fact that there is actually distortion in stage one. Unlike a lot of people think, there's a lot of distortion in stage one, and only in stage one. Like it's in stage one and not in stage two. It's not a lot in stage three either, but you know what I mean. A lot of people don't take this into account. Carebear did, and this ending blip is what, in my opinion, makes this like, well, not the best, because A1 is the best by miles, but possibly second already. We're starting off with two amazing tracks for stage one, as we should. as we should, and let's hope we continue. You know what? I hope that something tops E2, because that means then that Carebear did something amazing, absolutely wonderful. We'll see. Now, A3. You might have also noticed that there is a very slight hum, buzz at the beginning of the track before it begins. It's a very interesting choice by Carebear to do this, like when the crackle begins, because it's like you're thinking of a memory, you're beginning to think of a memory, but you don't yet know what it is. You have a very slight pause before you actually realize what memory you're thinking about. Even though this is bright recollections, it still feels like these quote-unquote bright recollections need a bit of time to occur, but they are bright recollections, as you will hear. As you can also hear, this is piano, and it's not Leighton and Johnstone piano, like not the stuff that you would hear in the ATOT. It's very happy piano, which is, again, something that's not seen as much in newer fan projects. They all go for either the Leighton Johnstone piano or the horns, but nobody goes for the happy piano, which I don't understand, honestly, because happy piano is a very good way to make a track like this, Bright Recollections. I feel like it goes from top to bottom, from most recollective track to least recollective. There's happy piano, horns, and then sad piano, in my opinion, from what I heard of both the ATOT and this. That's how I would interpret it. And I have a lot to talk about. The loop itself. The section of the loop. Carebear picked a great section of the sample to use as the loop, because it's very short, it's very hummable, very simple to remember, which is bright recollections. You should be able to know what these are. Now, the loop itself. How does it loop? It loops just like A1 does. It loops in the sense that the track finishes and then it begins anew. I've already talked about why I believe that this is a really a really good way to loop tracks in stage 1, and that I think others should begin doing. He also lingers on this pause between loops for just enough so that it doesn't feel like it's taking you out of the experience. This feels like a memory that you're very fond of and you're reliving over and over again, like your wedding or your, I don't know, whatever stuff that you would remember for a lifetime. Your the one time you listened to 8-Bon at midnight until 9 a.m. in the morning, because that's when the premiere happened. Anyways, good loop, very good loop, very good loop segment chosen, but there's a bit more to talk about. Now, what I do want to talk about is the fact that this loop is so short. Now, again, like EATOT, the piano track, the de facto piano tracks, are very short in loop length. I don't necessarily know why, but I'm not complaining per se. It's done well in here. It's done well. It's done. It's good. It's good. The again the length of the sample that is picked. It makes it the right amount of loops. It loops just the right amount of times, from what I can remember. There's also in the crackle, you might have heard at the beginning of the loop, there is a slight like in the crackle. Um, now you might already know what I'm gonna say about this, but I like that it represents again when you begin a memory anew, you're kind of like forcing your brain to start and do the thing, which might again. I know this is not how dementia works, but it's an artistic representation, in my opinion, of how dementia works. Like whenever you think of something, like whenever you have dementia, you get a set amount of memories that you can think before you die, and um, this is using up one of those think memories causes that sound. Again, don't flame me in the comments because I don't know how dementia works. I do my research. I've been here for a fucking year. Leave me alone. Oops. This is also just in general a good track to just shut your mind off to and just chill, like all of the others. But this one, this one is the type of track that you could put on when you're feeling happy and want to, calm down and maybe get productive or something. Just sit down, listen to this, then boom, you're in the mood for some, I don't know, working or whatever you do. I don't care what you do. Another reason I'm going to talk about the cover more. Um, you looking at this, what do you see? I see a mix of again a rotary phone and a radio, but there's also I also see some sort of paper thing coming out of it, which looks like one of those. I don't actually know what they're called, but I know they were used a lot back then for calculating and computer computer the job description, um just maths in general. um but look at this. Look at the cover. Everything that is like supposed to be white, like the paper there that you see, the quote unquote paper, because it's not actually paper. It looks more like a straw, just a very 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 bendy straw. It's yellow, green. I mean, I do not know my colors. It's green. Well, green and yellow like next to each other, but it doesn't matter. It's green. The entire thing, it looks like it's done with a green filter, which it probably is, because if you know, it is. Actually, it is. If you know the original cover, it is ever so slightly tinted more green, and in the original cover, it is white. But I do think that doing this is a very very good idea, because it again gives this feeling of very coziness. Stage one, just sit back, enjoy your life while you still have it. It also feels. Are you also feeling the same thing? It also feels like time between loops gets ever so slightly larger. I don't know if this is the case per se, but it feels like it a lot. You might have heard, but it does a lot. The track also, the track itself, the sample. I mean, um, the piano goes very. The rhythm is very wavy, like it goes up and down and up and down. Da 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 da. Like it goes up and down a lot. And again, for a track like Bright Recollections, it makes sense why why it would be like this because of the supposed memory being bright, having a bunch of ups and downs, and you know what's going on because you remember. If you actually listen to this track, just sit down and actually do listen to it, it does not feel like 15 loops have passed. It hasn't, but it doesn't feel like 10 loops have passed. I believe that's around how many loops there are. It does not feel like 10 loops have passed. Because Carebear manages to encapsulate very well this feeling of calmness, and you can just sit down and not worry about anything. The track's working. Track's working on it. You'll be fine. And now it's over. It doesn't feel like it's over. It feels like it's gonna go again. But it doesn't. It doesn't go again. Because it doesn't have to. It's already went enough times. And everything cuts off completely. Only the reverb remains until it too fizzles out. This A3 feels like a combination of what I like about A1 and A2, which I'd say put it at around the same level as A2 in terms of how good it sounds, in my opinion. This again, solid tracks. All of these are really good tracks. Solid, very solid. Now, next up is one that is new to 8-Bound Remastered. A4, the old church door. Since A1, A2, and A3 were all present in 8-Bound original, but A4 replaced a old track. I don't actually know what the name of it was because we don't talk about 8-Bound original. But I do know it got replaced by A4 in Remastered. So let's take a listen. And this is the de facto melancholic piano track, but it doesn't feel melancholic at all. I know, it doesn't make any sense, but Carebear managed to make this track only be calming. It's a lullaby. It's a lullaby. That's what it is, basically. Possibly because of the reverb, the huge reverb that is present through here. Every single note resonates at like 20 seconds, for like 20 seconds or something. So it's really well done in this aspect. It sounds very calm. But at the same time, the reverb, if you can hear in the background, makes like a drone noise, like the ones that you would hear in stage 7 here, or even take care it's a desert out there from the Caretaker, which gives this track a looming sense of threat, of doom, impending doom, of oh shit, like if you actually pay attention, like oh shit. The loop as well, again, all of the things that I have to say for A3 also apply to A4 because it's again a very short loop, it's a piano track. What more can I say? It's a piano track that loops. It's a piano track that loops a bunch because it's a short loop, and that's what you do with piano tracks. You can tell what I meant before when I said the reverb is gigantic. You may have heard that one note carried across the entire gap between parts of the song. That one loud high note carried throughout, like it carries until the end, man. That's what it feels like. It feels like these notes, once they begin, they don't end until the track also ends. Now, what about the crackle? The crackle is not very much a crackle, more of just scraping carpet or something. That's what it sounds like. It's like very sped up, but it's good. It's a mix of A3 and A1 in this regard, where it's piano track with the crackle from A1 and adding the reverb values together. It's also very calming and collected, and it feels like after A1 and A2, which are meant to get you into the experience, A4 is meant to like show you what's gonna happen, like in stage 1. Like A1 and A2 are what happens when you go through the door, and A4 is what happens when you see the room that you've just entered. You always feel like this track is going to end any moment now, due to how it goes, due to how it loops. But it just keeps going. It's like a memory that you just can't get rid of. Not like you'd want to get rid of, just a memory that you begin remembering and you don't want to get rid of because like, oh yeah, that was fun, that was, or whatever. And it just doesn't go away, and it's good in this regard because it's fun remembering stuff, I suppose. The drone in the background also feels like the organ segment from R1, just more just lower pitched, like the middle between normal stage 6 and organ segment stage 6, which you could say is again a metaphor for 7 hours, I think, up to the worst torture of my entire life. Like, seriously, Postmortem is so bad. Postmortem is so lazy. Like, and he didn't even remaster it. It's the exact same as it was in the original 8-Bond. And, like, the reason you remastered 8-Bond is because the original was bad and you didn't remaster the secret part. Like, if you kept the chicken, and it would have made sense, but you integrated it into the album, which makes it even worse because it feels like you have to listen to it to get the full experience. But it's so boring. It's so boring. You should have just left it as a bonus video at the end of the credits. It would have been perfectly fine if it was just that. But it's not. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. This is stage 1 we're talking about. The good parts, the good stages of 8-Bond. I'm going to take a quick detour into the original upload of this original remaster upload to look at the original A4. What happened with A4? Actually, what? Hold on. Let me actually hold on. How long do we have? A bit. I want to talk about A4 in this section as in the original upload as well, because it's different. The crackle feels like you're lighting a match on fire. Just the fire burning on a match. Listen. It's not low-pitched, piercing-ish. It feels like it does sound exactly like a flame would, just like a small flame if you put it up to your ear. Well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily burn all that much. Like, if you're to catch a burning match, like when it starts burning, you could hear this, but like, no, you know what I mean. This track loops for around as many times as A3 does, and I feel like this is just A3 again. A3 slightly different. It's a different sample, and it's slightly differently executed, but it's A3. There's not really much you could say about it, which is why I'm going to skip to supposedly where the end is. And there goes the huge reverb that we were hearing. Most fan project creators cut off the reverb before it actually ends, because they feel like it's taking out of the experience for it to drag on for like another 15 seconds. But I'd say the opposite. It truly puts into perspective what you've just heard. If you hear something with huge reverb, you're probably going to realize that during the track and at the end, with the huge reverb playing, still playing in the background, it gives you time to think about what you've just heard. You know, it gives you time to reflect, quote unquote. Well, there's not really much to reflect upon, but just think about what you've heard. Just internalize that in your memory. We're done, right? Should be. Yeah, we are. That the ending bit. Um, I don't fully understand why he put the huge silence there, but I'm not particularly against it. I'm not for it. I'm not against it either. Not it's not that big of a deal. But now let's patiently watch time slip away with A4. Oh, you might have already realized that this is very, very, very similar to A4 from the final upload. As far as I know, this has the exact same sample as the new. There's the full album edition. It's just in a different section. I don't really understand why this track exists in the original version. It's so short and it feels like just A3 again. It's the de facto Leighton Johnstone piano, but it's not actually Leighton Johnstone. It's still melancholic piano, but the part that I really don't like all too much about this track is the fact that it's slowed down enough such as that you can't really make out a melody from it that you could hum along to or sing, which is like, I know that's not the point of these albums per se, but it still feels like there has to be something that you can sing along to. Since again, this is just stage 1. There's not really any huge problems this early, you know? The loop here is also not handled the best. It loops every 4 notes. Well, 3 notes in like a chord, but I mean, it sounds like a chord. I don't know. And you don't probably have enough time to actually listen to the track before it switches, because as you can tell, it's not that long of a track. And if you were to extend it, it would be boring, since it's just repeating the same thing again and again and again and again for like 30, 40 loops. Which is why we're going to skip to the end. It feels like a Patience After... Yeah, it feels like a Patience After Sebald track, except for stage 1 in the worst way possible. It's not great. It's not an amazing track per se. It's fine, I suppose. If you like piano, you will enjoy this, but it's a bit too short in my opinion. The section picked doesn't work. Like, it's not the part picked isn't long enough to work for a loop, which is probably why he made it so short. Which is probably why he also changed it in the final upload. And just it abruptly ends. Good job. Amazing ending. All right, let's go back to the better. Oh, I'd put A4 just below A3 and A3 below A2. Actually, no, at the same level as E2. let's continue with, as you can tell by the title, A5 Memories of Peace, one of my favorite concepts. This entire album, complete, the entire 9 hours. All right, I already have a million things to say about this. Um, the track begins so suddenly. Um, it also establishes the memories of peace, which we are going to be seeing a lot of later in the album. But this track is anxiety inducing to me because to me it feels like the track is rushing in with distorted sounds, which I don't know. Have you heard? Yep. The horns here sound distorted because they're vibrating. It makes a vibrating sound, which to me is very odd. It's extremely odd to listen to, which is why I believe which is why it's anxiety inducing to me. And also, just memories of peace in itself. Again, it establishes that this is a memories of peace, and that whenever this character feels panicked or whatever, they will return to this, which is a good place to return to, honestly, considering what we hear. I enjoy how upbeat this one sounds, and very. It feels like it's trying very hard to keep you at peace, to keep you happy and fine, and everything is good. And yes. It might also be the bass boost slightly that Carebear also put on this track, but I still don't know why it feels anxiety inducing. But if a track is able to induce such strong, well, not strong, if a track is able to induce emotions such as anxiety, then I feel like it's doing a pretty good job, in my opinion. Already above A2 in my opinion. Carebear managed to make all of the horns in the piano sound very, very similar, apart from A4, but he deliberately made it different in that. Um, he made them all sound the same, even though they're different songs by different artists, plus different years mostly. Not much, but you know what I mean. Which is very, very difficult to do. I've tried it before, and it is hard. Um, but it gives this album a sense of identity. Like, this is who it is. This is the type of stuff you'll be hearing from me, and the times you aren't are wacky and wonderful and all that. You know what I mean? Now the loop. The loop. It again, it pulls the same A1 trick, but this time it feels like a mix of the A1 trick and the loop in the middle of the trick, because it does loop at the end of the sample as a one would. It doesn't have a pause before the next loop begins, which is another reason why I believe this is so anxiety inducing because this track feels like when it ends, it doesn't actually end. like you like hold on. You mentally calm down when when the sample goes to end, but then it starts up again and you have to configure your brain like, oh shit, the track has begun anew or something. I don't know, that's how it feels like to me. And I've talked a lot about how these tracks and samples are like and what they do. And I'm saying this because I believe that this is very, very well picked, and mastered, and a lot of subtlety and stuff like that. Carebear really did put a lot of effort into making these tracks as subtle as possible, and I'm totally not just looking for things to poke fun. It's continue. Like, listen, it's very calming. And again, it feels like there should be another like wind down. There should be another one of those. There should be another, yeah. But instead of that, the track begins anew. It's that sense of it doesn't end. The song doesn't end. It doesn't end, and that's why I believe it again. Another one of the reasons why I believe it's so anxiety inducing that it doesn't actually end. It goes to end, and right before it ends, boop, it picks back up again. I don't really have much to say about this because I can't really think of anything much else to say. Plus, I am panicking. Well, not panicking. I am silently panicking listening to this. Well, not. No, I'm absolutely exaggerating. It's not that bad. It's the type of sensation where you feel it. You know it's bad, but you enjoy the fact that you feel it because then you know this track, because it's caused by this track. Then and it's enough anxiety as to where it's not alarming, but it's interesting because this track, this song, is the one that causes it. It's very interesting. This track has either very long horns or very short horns, like the the the, and this is very, again, plays into the called quote memories of peace thing, where it's memories, so there is more than one type of memory here, and they're all relatively similar because that's how the brain works, but um they're different, but they're very similar. I just like the fact that again, the sample itself has, you know, these type of sections with, you know, long horns and bursts. I could call them bursts of horns, but yeah, let's continue. Again, another point. Um, the note on which, oh, the notes, the couple notes that begin the track are also the how do I say this? The couple of notes that begin the track are the exact same notes that would end the track if those notes were placed as an ending, but they're not. They're placed as the beginning. So it feels like you're taking the notes that were supposed to be at the end and changing them up so they fit as the beginning. Which again is I like that. I like how it sounds. It in the sense that it flows together very 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 well. Carebear himself also picked like the perfect spot for the loops. I also haven't talked about the slowdown yet for 5 tracks. Wow, it's a new record they made without talking about slowdown. But all these just slow down just slow down to like the perfect values. It feels like they're slowed down to the exact same value. Like they're all playing the exact same BPM, which works because like you're in stage one. Your memories at this point, you just sit back and think about what happened in your life. You don't need to think about you know anything in detail or with regret. You're just sitting back, enjoying being old and fulfilled and all that. Um, so all your memories are gonna feel the same. Well, they're gonna be happy and stuff, but they're gonna feel pretty much the same because you know. So that's why I like that he slowed them down to about the same speed. I believe that's a really nice touch. And I don't really have anything else to say about A5, so we're going to skip this part. This is very long track. Hold on. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? It ends. It ends like the track. It ends like the loop would begin. Which it always. It's so anxiety inducing. I keep saying this, like it's anxiety inducing because when is it gonna end? Is it gonna begin again? I have no idea. Oh god. What if it doesn't begin again? What if it does? Alright. Um A2 and A3 are the exact same. So is this. So just, you know, making sure. Oh yeah, A5 is again above A2. It is my second favorite track in the entire album. Now, A6, You're Always a Dreamer. I've already started playing it because I forgot to say the beginning words. This feels like a cerebral atrophy track. It feels like you're like on the beach. Just listen to this. Just come on. Does it not sound like it? And the percussion in the background going very slowly. Dum, da, dum, da. It also adds to this. It's going very slowly. Du, 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 du. Du, 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 du. Very. All of these are very laid back, just calm and chill, and nothing's happening all too much. You're just like chilling, you know. Duh, duh, duh. Oh, okay, hold on. Before that, the part I also like that the part where the song actually speeds up and does something is also a part where there's the most silence because it averages out the amount of quote unquote effort that the song is exerting is stays constant on an average. Now this part, this part is very I don't know how to feel about this part. It's it's the first part with a different instrument basically. And that's just about it. I don't have much to say about this, and it's really interesting because this instrument is one that I don't actually. I don't know what the name of the instrument is, but I've heard it a lot. It sounds very sharp and works for this album. It's interesting because I don't know how to feel about this. It's odd. It leaves me not it's speechless. It's speechless in the sense of I don't know what to say. Like what do you say to this? What do you say to that? Do you like how the horn picks up from where the mystery instrument left left them at? Did you tell the track has already looped 4 times? No, I'm joking. But it feels like it. You know, it keeps going back and forth from the horn to the sparkly, the spark, it feels like it's fucking sparkle sharp. It's a sharp instrument. It's a sharp instrument. Um, it's going back and forth and back and forth. Like you don't know where are you? Where are you in the spectrum? Like in the spectrum in the timeline. And that is how it ends. And it actually sounds like an ending. It sounds like an actual ending to a song. Like an orchestra ending. But right as it ends, it begins anew. Pulling the A5 trick again, right after A5, honestly. I let it play again just so that you could listen to it. Freebooting is a serious crime. Anyways, um, let's go to the end. This is a very odd track overall. I would, it's an attempt of doing something more interesting, and it's good, I suppose. Like if I were to listen, I could listen to this. It's not unlistenable or anything. It's just very interesting. It's very odd. Um, it's odd to the point where I don't really have anything to say about this. It feels like you're on a beach, but that's about it. That's all that I can say about it, and that it feels like cerebral atrophy. Or RRP, RRPCA. Cut that out of the video. Not much else I can say though. I guess it's a mid mid track below a 4. So far, I'm not getting the expected results. There's still good tracks. There's still good tracks. Don't get me wrong. Like A3 is the same, has the same level as A2. A4 is below it, but A5 is just it's amazing. It's not as good as A1. Nothing is, but you know. And now A6. A6 below A4. Again, good tracks, man. Could have been better. And now it's time for A7. It should begin. Oh, there we go. It's just at first, just at the beginning, it feels a lot like Shepherd's Stone, but in reverse. Or not really in reverse because Shepherd's Stone works for both ascending and descending beats. But the rhythm goes down and down and down and down and up. Da, 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 da. And now that was the loop. You might not have realized it, but yes, that was the loop to this track. It's pretty well done, in my opinion. But also, you might have noticed that in the sample itself, it loops, quote unquote. It's that section twice, but the second section is slightly different because it's a recording and you can't get it. Humans can't do it perfectly twice. So I really like it when songs do that because it feels like you're experiencing something that you've already heard differently. It's now different, ever so slightly. It feels slightly more fresh. um, Also, does the entire vibe of the track fits with the name Time Keeps Moving Along, because the very march kind of rhythm that is present here really works with time marching, moving along, makes sense. A17 from Forevermore Nevermore. I hate you, Bitey, for replacing that in the remaster. I'm still salty about that. I hate you. Alright, let's continue. Like, oh, that just sounds so good. I really, really, really like how those parts and songs sound. Also, the vinyl crackle, the parts where there's a big bump in the audio, they are rhythmically synced with the song, so that's pretty cool. I really like that. This song gives me B1 vibes, or was A6 from ATOT? Was A6 like the one with piano? I don't remember if A6 had piano or was a horn track, but it reminds me of It reminds you of new B3, or well, E8 technically. The this track also gives a sense of come on, hurry up, it's time to get going, or something like that. Just a sense of hurry. And I don't really know if that particularly works with dementia, but it could be like your brain is telling you to hurry up, remember as much as you can before you run out, or something like that, But But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about A7. It loops a pretty nice amount of times. It does feel like Shepherd's Stone in some way, or just, well, not really Shepherd's Stone. We're just it loops so many times that the rhythm goes up and down and up and down and down and up at the same time. It goes in a bunch of different ways, so it's kind of, you know, it's all over the place and stuff. And I like that. I like that in tracks. Just very all over the place, especially in stage one, because a lot of fan projects do stage one very melancholic and, you know, piano tracks, Leighton Johnstone. But I don't understand that. I still don't understand why most tracks in the ATOT stage one are piano, because person there isn't particularly melancholic, because the general mood is lower, but that doesn't really mean that you have to be depressing about it. General mood is lower, not dead. You know. But yeah, nice pause there. It's good. It's good. I like this track. Let me just skip to the end. Let me not overshoot accidentally. Oh. Whoa. Sudden cut off there. It felt, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a horn being just like, there's somebody playing the horn, and somebody else just like throws a rock at the horn, and it creates a big dent in it while it's playing, and then that reverbs. Also, you might have noticed that in this track you don't really hear a bunch of reverb, only at the end, which is very interesting. I generally like how this one sounds a lot, because of just the whole rhythm thing. But yeah, I'd put this, I don't know if I'd put it above a 5, because Memories of Peace just has more, it just works more with the theme. But in terms of how good the track sounds, I would definitely put it at second. But overall, third behind a 5. Sorry. So yeah, now it is time for B-side. Interestingly, B-side in this album has 8 tracks, with 8 having 7, as opposed to EATOTs and a lot of other fan projects stage ones consisting of 12 tracks, 6 for each side. This project decided to be more creative, I suppose, by making it 8 and 7, not the same amount of tracks. Which I think I'm trying to understand why, because not a person with dementia wouldn't. How do you say this? Later in their development, I don't know if they would necessarily be remembering more, reminiscing more, but it also could mean that it's a turning point through this track, actually, because A7, as I've said, it feels like a sense of hurry, like you need to remember as many things as you can, as fast as you can, before your brain goes kaput. But which is why B-side has more tracks than A-side. I don't know. Could be something to think about. But let's begin with B1, Slight Confusion, and we're gonna stop right there, because in the original upload of stage 1, this track is called Slight Confusion with an S at the end. Now I don't know if Carebear decided to, I don't know if this is a stylistic choice or a mistake, but yeah, I don't mind it. Both of the track titles work. All right, now B1, Slight Confusion for real. Okay, a bunch of things to talk about right off the bat. Very different from A side. This is the type of track that I would hear in a different fan project that would follow the formula of ATOT more closer. Um, because we have, this feels like the beginning to you know how in ATOT E side and F side are not complete, are very different in their style and tone. This, it feels like, just from the first seconds of this, it feels like B side is going to be different from A side. Now, if this is true, well, I already know, but if this is true, we'll find out. But it feels like it. Now, the crackle. It is a very specific, a very special type of crackle. Which I don't really know how to describe, but instead of it being very consistent crackling, it feels like balloons coming up of a surface and popping. Like, listen, like, yeah, it feels like balloons. And I don't know how this type of crackle works. I've only played around with the traditional quote unquote crackle. Um, but it's I it's a very this crackle is a very underutilized crackle, I suppose. Um, since I don't think there's necessarily a site out there or a way to get this crackle. I know it's used a lot in EATOT, and I don't know if that's because of the recordings or the fact that Kirby added them in after the fact, but yeah, crackles are cool. All right, let me just pause real quick. The track itself, it's it's piano, yeah, but it's the oh my god, I don't remember. Was it A3? Hold on. Yeah, it's A3. Having this track has the A3 style of piano where it's happy and upbeat, but it feels like a more not confused. It feels like a more covered up B3 A3, because the crackle is different and louder. The piano isn't as fast or as cheery. You know, it's slower, it's quieter. It feels like A3, but you're more sad. Slight confusions. It feels like you're quote unquote playing A3 in your mind, but oh no, confusions appear. Oh no. Oh, whoa, whoa, sure. Oh, here we go again. So, I don't remember exactly which track had this, but it is the slight vocal blip. Now, I don't know if this is a vocal blip per se because I can't understand it. Neither can you probably, but it's a blip of a thing of another song, like in a 6 for me, I believe. And again, this is not utilized as much as it should have. This is severely underutilized. Vocal blips or blips from other songs at the end of loops, great idea. It's a great idea to show to show early signs of post awareness seeping through. It's an amazing way, in my opinion. But people just don't use it. They don't understand the potential of it. And it's also the same type of sound that is also used in Ever and Empty Bliss's vocal track, the big vocal track. I don't remember what it's called. Like, hold on. It feels like Ever and Empty Bliss's glimpses of life denial, the sounds that are heard throughout the entire song. And I have no idea how Kirby managed to get those sounds. I don't know if they're in the actual sample itself, but they are really, really good sounds that I really, 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 really wish other people would actually use, because it's such a shame. It's such a shame that people don't people a lot of people only take the surface level stuff from YATOT and not the details, and they don't take from Ever and Empty Bliss, which a lot more people should. For example, the backwards track. There's a backwards track in Ever and Empty Bliss, which people just don't use features, which is really sad. We're all going down the same path. It's, whatever. This isn't about that. You could also argue that that said vocal blip at the end. I'm gonna call it vocal blip, even though it might not be, but I want it to be. The vocal blip at the end could also be like could also be the slight confusion that the track title is talking about, because the memory of the track immediately stops and it goes again. So you can make the argument that this person is having a memory, and then they get interrupted by another memory, this quote unquote slight confusion, and they try to recompose, like, oh god, okay, let's hold on, and then they try again. They're more focused, and then it doesn't work because it keeps happening. And that's about all I can say about B1. It loops well. I really like how it loops, because also the crackle itself also loops very, very well, perfectly actually. Not anything that I could hear, and I've been here for like a year now, so I kind of know my stuff, I suppose. All right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I can say about it. Now, B1 slight confusion. Conceptually great, amazing. I really like the change in tone for B-side and what Carebear implemented into it with the crackle, and again, that might not be his merit, but he picked a song, so it kind of is. The blip, which again, but I really like this conceptually. And it sounds nice. It actually sounds good. Oh, a thing that I forgot to talk about. It sounds like what was this fucking song called? Could be that one Ross Morgan song that everybody kept using at one point. Yeah, that has the same bit at the beginning. I might have been completely wrong with my name and artist, but you know what I mean. It has the same opening where it's very mute, and then it gets louder and louder. And I like it there, and I like it here, because it could mean like the memory taking a while to load, quote unquote. But yeah, it works. I would put this. I don't know if I would put it above A7, because both are really good conceptually. I really like the both of their themes and what they're going for. But I don't know. I might just put them at the same rank. I might just put them at the same level. So it's A3, then A5, then A7, and B1, and then I don't remember where I put the other one. I don't remember where I put the other ones. This is 2 days after I recorded A side. I recorded A side 2 days ago. Anyhow. Oh yeah, let's talk about the ending. I forgot to talk about that. It might make or break. Ooh, that's actually very, very interesting. It's kind of the opposite of what A7 decided to do, where it cut in the middle of the loop. This one begins the loop for one note and then closes it. I still would put it at the same level as A7 though, because I don't think it's that big enough of a thing to put it above A7. But I like it. I like that a lot. It works for B1, for B side in general, with the slight confusion thing. All right, now we have B2. Oh, this one. Oh, you already. Oh, no. Everybody knows this track. Everybody knows this track. All right, there isn't much time left. So what should we expect? Sad, not hopeful, bargaining type track. You want there to be more time left. Sadness and despair and anger and all stages of grief at once. And what do you get? Let me go back. Listen. That one sound. Everybody already knows this, and this is why this track is so famous, infamous, not infamous. Yeah, famous, known for this sad horn, the terribly sad horn. It's like the horn in, what was it, in F7? Oh, not 7. Or I think it was MTB1 this one. It was one of the Good Night My Beautiful tracks. Libet's delay. I don't know, one of them. Where just the horn comes in like out of nowhere. It's like that, but here, I really like how this track is mixed and implemented. Just right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, you hear just it feels like a bunch of emotions of sadness and anger just come out bursting through at the same time. You can also hear a slight bit of distortion, which adds to this feeling. It's not ear rape. It's just enough. It feels like anger, like pure, not pure anger, just anger mixed with sadness. And the way that it's high pitched instead of low pitched also adds to this, because like this makes it feel like it's more angry than sad per se. And also it feels like it's backwards. It feels like the track is reversed, like in Ever and Empty Bliss. I know it isn't, but it sounds like it. I really like it. I really like this. It feels like flute. It sounds like flute. And maybe yes, I don't know. But it's that aura sense, that sounds, an aura of sadness. Honestly, it's the perfect setup to the big sad horn. And the reverb as well also adds this, because after the beginning, I'm kind of flute. It's probably not flute, but you know what I mean. The beginning quote unquote flute section also continues into and up until the sad horn as a drone in the background, and then the sad horn itself, it's also reverberating off into the distance. Is it calling out for somebody? I don't know. It's probably crying out for help, but what can you do? There isn't much time left after all. That yeah, again, here it goes again. It happens once, then it slows down. The track slows down, and then again, then goes again. Woo! Again, it feels like a cry for help. It feels like this person is calling out for somebody to help them, to give them more time. They want more time. Which really works for this track, for this, the name as well. The name as well works really well, but it works so well. I love this track. A lot of people do, for a good reason. That was the flute. Never mind. All right, a bunch of stuff to talk about. So, start off with the flute section. It feels like so the first the sad horns at the beginning were somebody actively, well, not actively, it's just screaming out for help, and the flute is kind of like is like when the person begins crying. You know, it's like they cry out for help, nobody answers, and they begin crying and break down, and then there's the the emotions that would come out with that, where the track gets lower, lower pitched, and then this is hope. The horns that you just heard are they're still hoping. They're still hoping that there's a chance. They're trying their best to keep themselves sane and keep the time lost and try to find somebody that could help them. But yeah, no, there isn't. And the ending bit here could be, you know, that yeah, it's them attempting, still thinking that there's hope and trying to, while they're down, breaking down and crying, they're still actively trying to search. They're still moving around, trying not to get entangled by the dementia brain worm and your brain breaking down and causing death or something. And then it goes back up. The track goes high pitched again, and it leads perfectly into the loop beginning again. It's the same thing I talked about, where the person is, you know, depressed, sad, and crying, but then their determination goes back up and begins again. And they cry out for help once again, and it keeps going and going and going. Or over a long period of time, of course, but they're trying, you know? This is the mind of somebody who is hopeless. Hopelessness. Hopeless, but they do not want to acknowledge it. This is B2. This is what B2 sounds like. And it's what I said before. It's the contrast between E side and F side from ATOT. So far, it is like that. A side being more calmer and, you know, and happy and upbeat, and then here comes B side with the not melancholic, with the hopeless tracks already. We're not even in stage 2. Also, another thing that people have pointed out is that this horn sounds like somebody crying, which adds to my theory, adds to my explanation of why this track is the way it is. So that's why most people call it the crying horn, the sad horn. Yeah, you know, you probably already know what this is, or if you're new, you probably don't. But the ones that have been here for a while now, probably don't know about this. But you should, because this track is amazing. If I'm speaking to you directly, then you probably have now. You're welcome. Also, speaking of time, twice, what I just talked about, and the track title, Ever in the Beginning of Nowhere, complete edition, the full album, remastered, is turning 1 year old in 5 days, in 4 days actually, because this is being uploaded on April 1st. So yeah, make sure to share, to give Carebear your love for making the best album, the best stage in any fan project album. But yeah, anyways, let's continue talking about this amazing fan project. again. The loop. Oh, it sounds so good. It sounds so good. As somebody who appreciates good, good loops in albums, this is amazing. This is absolutely wonderful. I spend a lot of my time in track making, figuring out how to loop the track so it sounds good. And when I see somebody also putting in, I presume this the same amount of effort as I do, I really like I love it when a track loops well. When it doesn't, we have problems. And yes, the other tracks, I may have not pointed it out before, but the other tracks don't loop perfectly. They loop well. They don't loop perfectly, but they do loop well. But what can you do? This was a year ago. People didn't know about listening to tracks for loops and stuff. So yeah. Let's. Oh wait, that sounds like post awareness. Anyhow, I really hope this track has a banger ending. Yep, cuts off right before. Same reasons I liked, B2 and B1. Well, not B. Yeah, B1 actually. These are the ones with endings cut off, right? Yeah. I like it. It fits with the theme a lot. And now. Oh yeah. B2. B2 is by far the best track in B-side. Would I put it above A1 though? I don't know actually, because the B3 works. No, B3. B2. I meant. I got confused. B2. The track I just talked about. B2, has a way better concept and execution than. Well, not way better. It's a better way of conveying an emotion through this track compared with the following track, B3. The pair of B2 and B3 are better than, actually, if you take B2 by itself, I don't know if it's better. If I were on good days, I might put it above A1, but now I think they are pretty similar, not pretty similar, pretty the same in terms of quality, quote unquote. Cause I would put them in at the same rank, like A1 and B2. But if you take B2 with the idea of B3 in mind, the following track, then it's above A1. And why that is, we'll talk about right now. But just B2 alone, it is on the same level as A1. Just because, A1 sounded amazing. It was mixed amazingly. It had the concept and execution and foreshadowing, and all of the parts in it were amazing. B2, I mean, also had the same average score, in the sense of it has really good themes, amazing themes, wonderful themes, might I add. Above A1. Like, it tells a better story than A1 does, or will, because of the whole foreshadowing thing. But well, yeah, B2 also foreshadows some stuff, but A1 does it better in my opinion, because it's not as subtle as A1, but it still is a bit subtle. But the way it's executed, that's just a million times better than A1, in my opinion. Well, not a million times better, but it's just a lot better. It's a lot better than A1. But everything else is lesser than A1, so it all averages out to the same. Now, the following is the reason why I would put B2 above A1. But we're counting singular tracks here, which is B3, Memories of Peace. Oh my god, you might say. But didn't we hear this track back in A5? You'll be very much correct. And all the things that I say about B3 are the exact same things as I said about A5. But this time, I have more things to say because of the existence of B2. You already know what this track sounds like. I don't need to explain to you. What I do need to tell you is that it cuts almost immediately. The other tracks don't. The other tracks linger a bit with the reverb in the background, but B2 doesn't. B2 cuts almost immediately to B3. Not immediately, because that wouldn't make sense for B-side. Even sane, not sane, even people that don't have dementia struggle switching immediately on the fly between one powerful memory and a calming one. But what this pair of tracks meant to represent is somebody going through what I explained before in B2, just a bunch of anger and sadness and pain and oh dear God, and then going to the quote unquote happy place, B3 in this case, where they think of happy stuff. Just, think of happy stuff to take your mind off your own mortality and eventual decay. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about the song itself, B3, because I've already said all that stuff in A5. What I do want to say is that combined with B2's sudden, abrupt, and cut off ending, it cut off before the end, it really gives this track B3 a sense of of memories of peace, where this person goes to calm down, goes into their mind to calm down from if there's a stressful situation or anything. I really like this pair of tracks, as I've stated before. But yeah, well, we've already seen B3, so there's not much reason in playing it or listening to it, because it's the exact same. Yes, it is the exact same, which is also another thing I want to talk about. The fact that this track appears more than once. Believe it or not, it appears twice in A1. No times in stage 2, which is a missed opportunity, but whatever. And a grand total of once in stage 3. Now, another thing that I would like to point out that I don't know if Carebear actually knew about, but do you know what tracks in the ATOT repeat? There's one track that is copied in the YouTube upload of the ATOT. B3 and E8, which are the same in 8-Bon as well. Now, again, I don't know if Carebear planned this, but either way, that is a really, really cool coincidence, if it is one. If not, props to Carebear for paying attention to his details. But, I mean, he probably is, considering all of the detail that he's put in these tracks so far. But yeah, let's just skip past B3. Now, is it really so? Oh, who could have fucking guessed? You remember before when I talked about the is it really so? Not is it so. There's the track that when I talked about Could Be, I called it Could Be by Russ Morgan. Yeah, this is the track I was talking about. What a coincidence for it to be in here. Where the beginning to this one. Hold on. The beginning to this one also fades in, just like B1 does, and that's due to the sample. I would know. Everybody in this community has played around with this track. It the thing about this track is that it's not as well known as something like Heartaches or Good Night My Beautiful or the like, but every single person in the fan project community knows what this sounds like. They have heard it millions of times before. If you play this, they'll instantly know what you're talking about, no matter who they are. But nobody seems to talk about this one, which is very interesting. Anyhow, actually listen and talk about the track. Now, I talked about this before in B1, but the track fading in could be a way to represent the fact that memories are taking a bit longer to recall and figure out, and it takes a little longer. But and this track also, if you might have heard in the track that the horns that are present, actually whenever they play, the song boosts up just ever so slightly more in volume, and this could mean that there's a significant event or the person is forcing the memory to load, which plays into the B2 theme of the fact that they're aware or they're subconsciously aware of the fact that of the fact that something is wrong, very wrong. Okay, so everybody knows about this track. I don't need to play that much. You already know how this. You already know how it goes. But what I do want to talk about is the fact that this is another happy song right after the existence of B3 and B2. It could be, this person has had their memories of peace and now they're going on to a different memory, but to make sure that it doesn't end up with a memory or fact, knowledge, whatever, similar to B2's, they decide to pick a happy memory, another happy memory, and try to force it to appear. The evident on the fact. Yeah, you listen to me, right? Right, a lot of these tracks have the whole up and down rhythm. I think it's called a swing. Don't quote me on that. I may be completely wrong, but I think that's called a swing rhythm. I don't know. I only know plunderphonics. Don't kill me. um, what? So yeah, the melody of the track goes up and down, da 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 da. Um, and it's happy. It's very happy, but it feels like it's happiness to try and cover up something. The existence of B2. Um, but yeah, it feels like the track is trying to cover up sadness and anger, and cause just listen to it. It feels weirdly happy. Doesn't it? It feels just ever so slight. It feels like there's somebody telling to you, no, there's nothing wrong. You don't have to check. You don't have to. Or somebody's hiding something and they're distracting you. They're distracting you by, I don't know, just like in the movies, like in the like on TV. And let's just cut that part out. And I don't really have anything else to say. It's just a really catchy track. uh, there's not really anything of significance in the track itself. It feels like just a happy memory that was slapped together, I suppose. There's not really much significance about it. Just think happy, think happy, think happy, think happy. you know? If you force yourself to think happy, you just create. You will not create memories, but You know what I mean? There's not really. It doesn't feel like this memory is 50 years old. It feels like it was fabricated just to be happy. Overall, it's a really nice track to listen to. Now let's listen to the ending. Yep, and as you'd expect it to. Interestingly, the fact that it crackle continues makes me think that it was added in post, which sad that he didn't use the bubble crackle. That's what I'm gonna call it now. It's bubble crackle, and that's rapper crackle with a W, WRA, rapper crackle, and then there's bubble crackle. That's those are their official names now. Use them as you wish. All right, now what possibly could we have after this whole saga of 3 tracks? Before we figure out though, I forgot to rank B3. Again, if this was taken into account along with previous tracks or future tracks, B3 would be above A5. But since it's the exact same track, it's on the same level as A5, which who could have guessed? Yeah, there's a bunch of tracks in this album that are the same quality. Like I think 4 so far. 4 pairs of tracks are the same quality. I don't know. Again, this was recorded 2 days after the previous one. Now let's listen to B5. What could possibly happen after this? Now let's stop listening to B5 because I want to talk about in here. B5 has been changed. B5's name has been changed. And so has the track, I think. Yep, the track here, B5, has been changed from I think Love Is Here to Stay to It's All For You. We're going to listen to B5 first from the complete edition. Alright, what could we possibly have after a series of breakdowns and cover-ups for happiness? Sorrowfulness. You've come to terms, or... I feel like that happens more towards stage 2, but it's showing its steps in stage 1. Well, I mean, it could happen subconsciously, you know? But yeah, as you can probably tell, this is a piano track, a melancholic piano track. Not helpful, not hopeful, I mean. Not hopeful at all. But yeah, just a standard piano track with a shit ton of reverb. As they all do. Piano tracks are easy to loop. There's not really much to say. It works well with it's a good cap off on the saga of 4 tracks here. Now, the reason it sounds happy is because again this is still subconscious. Still they don't know. This is only stage 1. This is still subconscious. These are subconscious thoughts. And the other reason, again, another reason is that well, we were just covering up happiness, so yeah, it's kind of difficult to switch immediately. You still have a lingering sense of happiness. But yeah, this track is very short, and I don't have much to say about it, which is why it's just a perfectly fine track, and it ends just with a reverb into nothingness. Now, where would I put it? This is a mid track. It's very mid. It's in the dead center of the track listing. I will probably have a list of scores for tracks, like, and where they are. I'll probably have them here if they're here. Then nice. I remember to actually do this. But if they're not, I am so sorry. But they should be on the screen now, somewhere. But we're not done because we have B5 from the individual upload. Thank you, original B5, for giving me something to work with. Okay. This is a different continuation to the saga that has been going on, but um after what we would have as a cover up of happiness, instead of instantly jumping to the part where everything is sorrowful and oh no and pain, um we have this happiness breaking down because the horns are what was the plugin used for this? Possibly distortion and some limiting and some limiter. Um, but it feels like E2 for me ATOT. Like the horns are like like depressed, not sad, just depressed. Like at the like when the note begins, it gets deeper like duh, 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 duh. It also stops a lot. It's like it's like in the middle of the track. It's part of the sample, yeah, but it adds to the fact that um they're still trying to keep up the happiness and woo and amazing. But they can't. They're just unable to. Or a different story, a different ending a different ending to this saga could be that this person has quote unquote come to terms with this. I know they haven't, but like they've come to terms with it enough to the point where they don't feel pain as much pain when they think about it. Because I think because of the track title, I think love is here to stay. Because, well, I might be dying inside terribly, but I'll I'll still have my love, right? Of course, they don't, and they eventually fuck you. This entire section, I'm just gonna say it again. They go to here. I don't ever want to go to anywhere. I don't want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to hell. Nothing. I because if I do, I'm just gonna end up listening this for the rest of my eternity. Anyhow, it it feels like, again, this person is sad and angry, but at least they will always remember their significant other thumbs up. But they won't. All right, that's about it. It loops once. It loops only once, which makes me think that this person held onto the sentiment for not quite long at all. Like at all. Now is the question that every single person here has been asking, probably, is this B5 better than the other B5 in capping off the saga? It depends, because it depends on what you prefer. Would you like the track to be sad and subconsciously sad, or still trying to cling on to? Do you, so, do you like the person fighting for their lives or giving up? It depends on you, but like I would actually give B5 original an actual score instead of just mid. This mid dead center of the track of the album. Um, I'd put it below A5. I put it below A5. Now I don't remember all too much about my ranking, so again, if it doesn't make any sense, I'm sorry, but what can I do? Because I don't make notes during these recordings, but what can I say? All right, let's continue to B. 6. But yeah, there. It took a while for that track to finish. Could have been just dead silence. They're not thinking anything. They're just staring into the void, feeling emotions. Now, 1,000 Lovers, which it feels like the logical continuation. I mean, depending on what we see here, this could just be a replacement for B5. Like, in here, B5 could be redundant because B6 is. I don't know. We'll see. That's not good. My microphone just died. Now I have to use the other one. Anyhow, this track. Okay, now it feels so. The saga has ended. We have gone through the 5 stages of grief 17 times in a row, and now we're back to just gradual, standard dementia. Feels like an A-side track, but just a lot more reverb and a louder crackle. Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else to say about this track. It feels like an A-side track. It just feels like an A-side track, but but with more reverb and a louder crackle. Whoop-de-doo. Mid again. Just listening to this, it's not that eventful. Not much I can say about this. Just another day. It feels like you go through the saga, you reach B5, and then B6 is the very next day where you completely forgot about this. Because, you don't want to think about it. So it feels like. It just feels like you're going on a normal day. 1,000 Lovers? What is that supposed to mean? I'm genuinely confused what this track means. This title means. Bro, my man's a player. Anyhow. Yeah, it's just a normal track. I tried to think about stuff that I could say about it while it was playing. No idea. You could replace. You could swap this with A2 and nobody would bat an eye. I'm not saying it's bad because of that. I'm just saying what it is. I'm calling it like I see him. So, yeah, I think this is about as much B6 as we're going to be able to efficiently hear. As much creative activity. Yeah, you know what I mean. You're smart. Let's see how it ends. Abruptly. Now, I didn't quite catch the loop, but I'm assuming it's around that point. Yeah, again, mid track. Might put it slightly above mid. I'll see how I think in the editing phase. There's not much else to say about it. Not much else to say in general about B6. So yeah, B7 now. We have Looking Far Back. This track feels a lot more old than the other tracks, which makes sense. Looking Far Back, it could be like a memory from childhood, but not childhood, because then where is it? Because that would be last of childhood memories. But I mean, here it says last of childhood memories. So, yeah, or G3 faded childhood. Well, it could be somewhere around like the not 20s. When this person was 20, or something like that. I don't know. Just farther back than the others, when everything was happy and great and sunshine and rainbows and all that. Now I like this song is very hummable. It's very you could just be walking down the street and be humming this. It's a catchy song. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a catchy song to listen to, and yeah, it's very upbeat and happy. And again, you're looking far back into when you were a child, or not a child, you know. But I want to see the loop real quick. Hold on. Yeah, that's all right, I guess. So far, these tracks don't seem to have been any outstanding. They don't seem to be very outstanding. Yeah, not amazing, not wonderful tracks, not the best tracks in the entire world. You know, I put this one on the same level as B5 original B5 singular upload. Yeah. Well, again, there's not really much to say, and I don't really like the fact that there's not much to say about these tracks. Well, apart from what they mean, but like unlike the previous tracks where I had a lot to say about it, this one there's not really much to say. You're just thinking about a nice memory from the past, an amazing memory from the past. Yeah, I mean you could make the argument that this is another way to diverge the saga started in B2, but I feel like we're already past that with B6, because again B6 feels like the day after the saga is complete. It could be no, that's all that I can say about it. It feels old. It feels older is what I mean, older than the other tracks. It might be. It might as well be. It might very well be. I don't know. I don't have the wiki open, and I don't want to open it because it might ruin the setup that I have here. But yeah, just not much I have to say about this. Standard way of ending it. Again, feels like an A-side track. Well, Carebear. Well, I did like what Carebear did with the B-side extension and just the stage 1 extension. It feels like this is just A-side tracks. It's not even B-side-ified. If you're gonna begin B-side with five of the most sad tracks in stage 1, literally the tone is completely different in B-side. You might as well keep it. Again, you could make the argument that B6 is, well, B6 feels like the stepping stone between A-side and B-side, because it's a A-side track with B-side effect, and B7 is literally an A-side track because it goes from B1, it goes, the intensity of B-side goes after the 5 tracks it goes down until mid B and A-side, and then down again to B7 where it's just A-side again. You could make that argument, but you began a premise, just follow it till the end, I suppose. And now, the end. Finally, I have been recording for a combined 2.5 hours. You're probably not gonna see 2.5 hours because like 30 minutes of those were just me being an idiot and not being able to speak, or not knowing what to say, or the similar. Now, B8. It was said with a kiss. I heard a drum set. Right off the bat gives me B6 vibes from the ATOT. Very, just want to say that it gives me these, which is good, because the last track of ATOT, last track of this, Now, what can I say about this track? So, now, firstly, what does it mean? I believe just by listening to the first part and the title alone, it feels like, again, you go back to your normal life, but you're still conscious of it, and you want to take life into the fullest as much as you can, reminiscing and being with the people that you love. Again, as much as you can, because like 90 at this point, probably. Yeah. So, what else can I say? It does feel like a song that would play between two lovers, because again, C track title. But yeah, that's. What else can I say about this track? Not much. It does fit B-side. I must say that as an end. It fits as an ending track to stage 1. Let's listen some more. It feels very hopeless. Not very, just hint of hopelessness. Piano at the end. No, you know what? It feels. I like the progression in the sample where it goes from big horns, loud horns, yeah, into the calm, soft horns, and then to piano. Which is very soft, but I do like the way that it works. That way, the loop is pretty. It's a good loop. He picked a correct section to loop it, but there's just the drum part thing. I don't know what's called in English, but that part, it's very ever so slightly there, and that is a part that I hate about loop making. About loop making, I hate it because it keeps happening. I keep forgetting that stuff like that is there at the beginning. The stuff that's at the beginning of the tracks that isn't supposed to be there. My man, you made A1. You made. Oh, where is it? Where is that? Okay, you made A1. How can you not loop things correctly by taking into account what is and isn't supposed to be at the beginning of the track? I don't get that. I don't understand. And the other tracks, there was another one. Yeah, A2. You made A1 and A2 right next to each other, and you can't do B6, B8. Come on, man. I really don't like that I don't have much to say about these tracks. They're very standard. They're exactly the thing I was praising Carebear for before, that he didn't do what conventional fan project albums do for stage 1, that he spiced things up. But he ended it with a very okay-ish. They're okay. They're good tracks, I suppose. Like, they're not bad, but like he extended A and B side 3 extra tracks, and the 3 final tracks are just okay. You could have done pretty well by keeping the 12 track quote unquote rule that was set back in the ATOT, and have it finish with B5. You could have it finish with B5 and the sadness that happens with that, and then stage 2 where the person now, when their subconscious realizes, then they consciously realize because you know, stage 2 and all that. As time blurs, I can still remember you. Yep, and here comes the sadness. It would have been perfect. Again, I like the idea. It just wasn't executed as well as this album seems to have tried to. You know, like all of the tracks up until this point, amazing, great, wonderful, mwah, amazing, wonderful, great. But these 3 tracks at the end, again, you extended them. You extended stage 1, but you didn't do much with it. You didn't do much of anything with it. And what can I say? It's not. Like, they're not bad tracks. Neither is B8. B8 is not a bad track at all. I would put it at the same place where I put B7, which is below A5, I believe. But that's about it. It's just okay. It is just okay. There it is. I've done it. But wait, we're not over yet. Christ, who could have expected such an ending? Yeah, feels like A-side tracks. Heavily like A-side tracks. Not anything special about them. Like, at all. Feels like something that I would make 6 months ago. You're doing so well. You're doing so well up until this point, Carebear. You lost steam at the end, but it's fine. They're not bad tracks. That doesn't take away from the experience that much. I only appreciated the first 12 tracks as much as I did because I looked very deep into them. And if you're just listening to this album just casually, trying to get through it, but you know, still listening to it for the experience, they're not deal breakers at all. Because the person that's listening to this for the experience doesn't look as deep as like I would. But still, it's something to think about. I know Carebear's basically moved on from Caretaker music onto Amniat music. But still, it's something to keep in mind with pacing in general, pacing and stories and ideas. And I mean, I hope Carebear can see this and see what a fool of myself I've made. The video has concluded basically. I want to say a couple things. So, firstly, happy April Fools. I know I've said this in every video that I've uploaded today, but yeah, April Fools. It's the best holiday, in my opinion. Well, not really. Secondly, half of the things that I say here are an exaggeration. I do like stage 1, but yeah. I'm saying this before I get people in my comments saying, how could it's not. Yeah, that's about it. Why did you watch a 3.5 hour video about some dude talking about one stage in one fan project? You know what? Let's set a like goal. 100 likes. Yes. No, wait. How many subs do I have now? That was not helpful at all. 128 likes, and I will do stage 2 in this same format. And if there's enough demand, I might do it until the end. I might just review everything. And if I do, I'll when I get to the post-awareness tracks, I don't know if I'll do stage 5 remastered or final edition, stage 6 remastered, yeah. Oh, and as an incentive, when I get to this, that's gonna be one hell of a trip to get through, honestly, because as you might have heard, I am very vocal about my hate of postmortem. Yeah, incentive, get me to postmortem. We're at stage 1. 128 likes, I'll do stage 2. Bye.